Alright, hey there YouTube. Guess I'm doing another video this weekend, because someone actually gave me a good idea. They said, why don't you talk about controllers, video game controllers, and so I thought to myself, well, it seems easy, seems cheap, seems like I can do it, and I can talk a lot, so I guess I'll take his advice. I wanted to start with the ancient control pad that we had somehow sitting around here, but unfortunately I can't find my Atari control pad or my original Nintendo control pad. They were lost in the basement wars. They were lost in the basement of the abyss. Anyway, I guess we're just going to have to suffice with the earliest I can start with would be my Nintendo controls, but seeing as I don't actually have the pad on me, we can start with this. Of course, well, minus these. Original Nintendo pad had, a little D-pad, little directional pad, which was the advent of the directional pad. Before then, there were actually no directional pads. Everything worked off a joystick. And also, apparently, somewhere out there, through all the Ataris and ColecoVisions and the earlier 6-bit or 8-bit, whatever the hell they were, pre-Nintendo consoles, started using, the 5200 was infamous for using what we have here on the Atari Jaguar pad, numerical keys, which, a numerical pad I am, the least biggest fan of. I don't know whose idea that was, but again, I think it's the most retarded thing, because all the buttons are so alike and they're numbered. The only thing you have to separate them in your mind is the number that they, start in. And so I suppose you'd be playing your game and you're thinking, oh, I'll press 7 and then 8, and you're like, oh crap, which number? 7. Oh, I'm dead. Which you can argue all you want, but there's a reason modern gamepad. I can't wait for the comments to be posted on this. Oh, but you don't understand. Numerical pads are the way of the future. That's why the Sony PS3 doesn't have them. And you know what? I'm actually quite amazed at this setup here. You know what? We got a better example of this. Where's my... Here we go. This always amazed me that this was their only control, was this little D-pad and these buttons. You think about how many games. Think about how many games worked off of just those buttons. Pretty amazing when you think about it. But of course, video games were getting more complicated all the time, so shit had to change. And of course, that brought on the advent of 3 buttons. Here is the Psychogenesis control pad. You have A, B, and C all eloquently designed, and you don't even have a select button. This was even more simplistic when you think about it. You gain a button, but you lost a button. This, in my opinion, was one of the more comfortable control pads of all time. Just 3 friggin' buttons. And you know what? It was simplistic, and it was iconic, and I love it. Okay. After that, we had, son of a... God bless the cordless... God bless the maker of the cordless control pad. Here with its big-ass cord is an original. This is actually a third-party, one of those turbo pads that I do not like that much. They call it high-frequency control pads for the original Sony PlayStation. I liked the original, and that's because I guess this is third-party, so it's actually... I'm not afraid of... Well, it didn't have any rumble, so it was actually a lot less brittle, and anyway, this means a lot to me, because this was actually my control pad that my parents bought for me for Christmas for my brother's Sony PlayStation, and it doesn't mean anything to you, but it means a lot to me, and it brings on good memories, so, but it's kind of, now looking at it, kind of looks bald, doesn't it? It looks bare without those 2 little Dualshock things, which, here we go, I'm going to have to fish them out, because that's what fell. Pizza, bloody pizza. Bastard. Well, this is already broken. And, of course, the brittle Sony Dualshock, which they got sued over. If anyone's savvy in the market, they found out that the Dualshock controllers were, I don't know, violating patent, or some company they stole from them or something like that. I forget the idea. I don't know. You can look it up, but they finally got it all done away with, and I think that may have something to do with the fact that the new Sony PS3s don't have rumble, the 6-axis. And of course, these are fairly comfortable. I think that the way that they're set up is sexy. That's just me, but they're attractive, handsome control pad, but I have to tell you, one problem that I have is that these 2 joysticks are on the same plane. So, sometimes on first-person shooters, I don't think it's clean-cut as when they're on different levels, because when they're on different levels, it's a lot less difficult, I think, to confuse movement and aiming, but maybe that's just me. I've easily gotten used to it since I started playing. This I have a problem with, though. These little buttons back here, the left and right triggers, I think, are, the easiest to mix up. It's not always, but sometimes I have a problem with it. The buttons I always loved. I'm not sure if there's ever going to be a company to best this, but the A, B, X, Y buttons, I'm not a huge fan of, but this, little, X, X, 0, triangle, square, that is iconic, to the point where, I mean, well, it's made a staple. It's a staple of gaming now. No one does not understand what those are, unless you've been living under a rock for the last 3 billion years. Let's talk about Nintendo. Nintendo's control pad. This is a GameCube controller, which I now have to unwrap. Now this, buddy, will hold up. And let me tell you, I have been frustrated at times, and I have, you know, really taken it out of my control pads. I guess I'm not proud of that, but I am a man, and I am faulted. I always like this. People could say it's kitty-looking, people could say it's not sexually appealing, but personally, I always just like the GameCube controllers. They remind me of good times, they remind me of good memories, they remind me of Christmas time, and they remind me of being warm in your house and a fire going, and kind of fuzzy romantic stuff about that. People talk smack about the C-Stick. I always like the C-Stick. I think the C-Stick was good. Keep it in there. The B and A button, this little setup here, I almost never got confused, because the buttons were so different from every, like, you know, they're not like the same size buttons even. One's small, one's big, then 2 of these, and the Z button, and the triggers, I always thought these were the most comfortable triggers I've ever dealt with these 2 triggers. I really felt like I was pulling a gun trigger. I really, like when I play a gun, I really thought, you know, Wild West, you know, like I was really fanning them out. And, oh, I love my little purple lunchbox, my little black lunchbox. Moment of silence. Okay. Guess you're waiting for it. Here we have... Did I say I hate cords? I hate cords! Got an Xbox controller here. This is actually the 2nd generation Xbox controller. The originals were even bigger. This is like notorious, like almost as bad as the Atari Jaguar controller. This is a controller where if I had to defend my life, like this is like a war mace, I could, you know... I'll give it one thing, this thing is sturdy. Of any of the controllers I've ever felt in my entire life, you could probably stop bullets with this. You could, don't shoot me, and like stop bullets with it. Again, the one thing I can say about this is that, first of all, you have your top-loading memory there, which you know what? I don't have my Dreamcast anymore, so I can't show you my Dreamcast thing. I wasn't ever too fond of Dreamcast controllers, but I love my Dreamcast. The top-loading memory thing kind of bugged me, but of course we had a hard drive, so what does it matter? Oh, the start and back buttons were freaking weird, and of course these buttons were useless. I could not, you know, press the white button. Oh, okay. Oh, no, crap. Press the black button. Oh, okay. Now, crap. You know, so, yeah, and I'll never remember this. This just, to me, in my mind, it just didn't stick out. I'll never, like, think to myself, Xbox controller. I remember that. Like, I do remember it, but it's sort of like, like, plainest control pad ever. Just me? Like, you know, doesn't stick out in my memory, or doesn't, it's not nostalgic. I don't think anyone's ever going to remember this. On the other hand, at least they upgraded it to look a little sexier when they did this, which, well, that's cool. Nothing, again, same comments, but I'm glad they got rid of the top-loading thing. It's wireless, and I think that these are more easier to work with, but to tell you the truth, it actually, when I started playing it, I'm like, oh, I miss my little buttons down here. My little useless black and white pepper buttons. You know, my salt and pepper buttons. And I like the fact that it's wireless. I love wireless. Speaking of wireless, last control pad. Of course, your Wiimote. They talk about it being more, more, you know, intuitive, but is it really? I just have that question to pose to you Wii fans. Is it really? Is doing this ever going to be more, you know, easier, faster, more intuitive than doing this? You know, show me a man who can do this quicker than a man who can do this. Or a man who can think, you know, better than he can. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Again, I don't hate my Wii, but I do sometimes, and I haven't used it in months. I haven't touched it since I got a PS2. And I used to be the biggest, I love my Nintendo GameCube. I loved it. But you know what? I don't know about this. The only thing that's keeping me holding on are Brawl, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and Nights into Dreams, some of that weird stuff, or I swear to God I'd sell it this Christmas. I'm sitting on a gold mine. I could sell it to some chump, you know, who's looking to get a gift this Christmas, but, you know what, I'm paranoid. As soon as I sell it, then, like, all the world's great. Then Metal Gear Solid 4 would come out for the Wii.